Okay, let's get started here. So first off, I just want to thank you guys for giving up your time. I'm excited to have this opportunity with coaches from all levels of our association, youth association. We have our high school coaching staff on here, as well as our captains. So we have the entire New Prague hockey community here looking to do right by our kids. Okay, so that makes me really, really excited. That makes me happy and energized for this meeting and the outlook for New Prague hockey. So just a couple of quick things. I'd like to thank the HDC, the Hockey Development Committee, the board for their support as I've started to or taken over the high school program. In case you don't know me, my name is Brad Drazen. I'm the boys high school head coach. And we've put in a lot of time and effort to unify the New Prague hockey program, might all the way through high school, that we're all in this together. So really excited to get going. In the chat right now, I'm putting a link in case you haven't had the opportunity yet, just to fill out a quick couple of questions here. Just you can put, who you are in there, and then also if you have any feedback or questions. The next part that I'd like to do is to formally introduce the high school coaching staff to the New Prague hockey community. On this call, I know that we've got Holton Borwidge, the assistant varsity coach, Ben Witt, assistant high school coach. He'll be floating between varsity and JV. Eric Brever, our man behind the scenes, does an insane amount of work for us. Anything that looks remotely coherent comes from him. And then finally, Joel Barzy, also on our staff. And then to also introduce our captains. Our captain this year will be Jack Wilmus, and then his assistants, Aiden Dorzinski and Spencer Tupy. Just great, great kids to have leading our program. So they'll chime in here in a little bit. High school coaches, feel free to stop me and interrupt me at any point as we go through this process. So like I said, I'm excited to be here with you. Today we'll learn together on a few things. We have a lot of great people here in this room. We have a lot of people who are dedicated and passionate about New Prague hockey, as well as our hockey players. So be willing to share, be willing to take risks. Today we are here for one New Prague, but most importantly for our kids. So just to get started here, here's a quick agenda of what we'll do. My goal is that we're done by 8:30 today. So a few different people that will be speaking tonight on a variety of things. The main focus of this meeting is to support you, to support your families, to support your players in this 4-week pause that we are in right now. So the first thing that I'd like to do is start us off with a few quotes. These are, if you've been in a meeting led by me before or part of my meetings, this is not new to you, but it's always great to repeat here a little bit. If you're growing a garden, you'll need to pull the weeds, but flowers will die if all you do is pick weeds. They need sunshine and water. People are the same. Coming from the great Bill Walsh. Next is a quote from Michael Boyle. He's a strength coach out on the East Coast, I think for Boston University. This one is timely here. Fill the empty buckets. Don't overflow the full buckets. If the strength bucket is empty, fill it. If the muscle endurance bucket is already full, leave it alone. Don't complain about who filled it or how. Just move to the next bucket. So as hockey looks different for us here in the next for the next 4 weeks, we need to fill empty buckets. We have opportunities to do that differently than what we've maybe had before. So the next quote here, Topher Scott from the Hockey Think Tank. With this time, I would highly, highly, highly recommend the Hockey Think Tank. It's a podcast. They have a website. Also, for for coaches, players, I've sent a few clips to some players of just things that have popped up. Topher does an unbelievable job. Coach, and his quote here, coach the player, not the team. The team does not always need what the player needs, and the player does not always need what the team needs. Again, more timely than ever right now. More timely than ever right now as we're in this 4-week pause. So the next that I'd like to kick off here is the One New Prague. You may have seen the Dashers at the arena, may have seen it on everything possible that I can send out. Here is our vision for the One New Prague for Trojan hockey. One New Prague is the connection between all levels and forms of hockey in our community. And it's a celebration that hockey is for everyone. When One New Prague team wins, we all win. And this, again, I cannot be more thankful for the HDC, the board, my coaching staff, fully embracing this. Conversations that we have are not just solely focused on one level or one team. It's about the One New Prague hockey program. All levels and all forms, we are doing our best for that. So out of that vision came 4 pillars. And the 4 pillars that we have for One New Prague is first and foremost, probably the most important, relationships. The second one, culture. The third, the individual, looking at the individual person. And then finally, the team. So we have 4 pillars of One New Prague. And all 4 pillars have the same importance. It's all about people. It's all about habits. It's all about details. These 4 pillars, these are also things that kids can carry into life as they leave us, as they leave the New Prague hockey program, but are still part of the New Prague hockey family. We can make the promise to them that we are here to show you that we care. We're going to mentor and guide all of our players to reach their best selves. And so as we go through tonight about ideas for the One New Prague vision, this is what we're looking at. The culture, doing what's right, having fun, not forgetting what sports are about, and then getting 1% better each day. These are all terms and all language that can be used for all of New Prague hockey. Mites, and we're using it all through the high school program. The more that we can be on the same page with this, the more that our kids will benefit. And this is a vision for all of New Prague hockey, the individual, putting kids in control, giving them agency, that they have control of their attitude, their effort, and their actions. Growth mindset, being willing to fail, to learn. And then finally, the team, committing the small details and habits, bringing the heat. High school coaches, anything that you'd like to add quickly on the One New Prague vision that we've talked about that I'm missing? So moving forward, here is the high school hockey plan for the next 4 weeks. Again, this is all tied back to our One New Prague vision. Bullet one is mentor and guide all players to reach their best selves. You'll notice that this is in our relationships pillar. So this is all very aligned through our vision. And as we're working as a coaching staff, as you're working through this and as we work through this, we're always circling back to our vision. We're always circling back to our why. To do this, we're having coach communication. I assigned each coach about 12 to 13 players to communicate with twice within the 4-week span. And I am reaching out to all of our high school hockey players. So we're communicating. When we're communicating, we're talking about how are you? How are your family? How's your academics? What are you doing to stay engaged? We're committing to the small details and the habits. We're having weekly team and position meetings. Each Monday is a whole team meeting where we'll update where things are at. We'll go through team-specific building of, for example, this week we'll be kind of talking about what developing pregame routines. What does a perfect shift look like for you? What do you do if you don't get that perfect shift? And then we're having position-specific meetings, forwards, defense. We're growing the One New Prague. Everything we're doing is circling back. I already alluded to this, but we're showing our players that we care. We care about them as people, not just hockey players. They're not just something for us. So coach communication again, we're focusing on how are you? How's your family? How are your academics? We're talking to our players about getting 1% better each day. We've set out expectations for players that really were driven by our captains. They're really driven by our captains. Getting 1% better. It's obtainable. It's something that anybody can do. I can get 1% better every day. Think if I do this for this 4-week span, how much I've gotten better. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to our captains quickly, and they're going to just share what they shared with the team. So Jack Wilmus, why don't you start, and we'll kind of go down the list.
So what I said to the team is I told them all, we have a long weeks ahead. So to prepare everyone for the season, we've decided to talk about weightlifting, stick handling, and shooting. Feehan, high school strength coach, provided us a work routine. And what I told the players is that to do this workout routine to prepare the whole team and to prepare yourself for the season. And it's something that will grow you as a hockey player, but also give you the responsibility that you can use like as a person too, just in order to like you keep hitting you have to put the responsibility on yourself in order to do it and actually do it. We didn't do like I said, oh, you have to do this each day, we have to do that each day. We didn't do that. To more put it on yourself, and if you don't do it, you're letting the team down, as if to say that. And what I told them also is if they have weights, they can incorporate it into like weightlifting. That would be great, and it's just something to do to prepare yourself for tryouts. Spencer, you can take it from here.
Yeah, so next on the list is stick handling, and one of the biggest things that I think in this 4-week period that we can do is really work on like stick handling and closing that skill gap in between like us and the bigger schools. And I told our team, you know, every day if you go out in your garage or driveway, anywhere really, if you have a puck or a ball, just to, you know, stick handle around your body, around the world, do stuff like that just every day or as much as you can. During this 4 weeks, it will make a difference. And if everybody will do that, then like they'll grow as a player. And then when we come back together in these 4 weeks, it'll really help us. So I just wanted our whole team to know that and to really put it on themselves to get better in these 4 weeks by stick handling.
Okay, so basically the third thing that is going to be big for everyone is just getting in some shooting, just like stick handling. What I told our team is that to see it as an opportunity over these 4 weeks, and it's not just important for us as high school, it's important for all the ages, all the way up the association. It's going to make everyone better personally, and it's going to improve the teams, and it's going to improve the whole association as a whole coming up when it's their turn to play high school. And just during this time off, these 4 weeks, while we're on this pause, it'll give each kid it'll give them a chance to show their dedication to New Prague hockey and to make basically New Prague a one. And it's just a great opportunity. You just got to see it as an opportunity for each and every person. So that's basically what I had there.
Yeah, so I thought it was important for the captains of the high school team, to kind of share their message that they shared with the team. Feel free to share that along with your players, your parents as we go. I just am so thankful for these group of seniors that are just completely adopting where we're at with things and what we can do to get 1% better each day. Captains, you're good to go. If you want to hang on, you're more than welcome to, or if you want to bail on this, you're good to go too. I appreciate you guys. The last part is having fun, okay? Got to remember, kind of bring it back a little bit of having fun and why we play. Get back to those roots, especially in this 4-week period where things are wild. We just got off possibly the most stressful, week, Thanksgiving holiday for some of these that some of these kids have had with the move to distance learning, if they were in the hybrid model. Not sure whether to go to family. They went to family. They're hearing all sorts of messages. So I think that us as coaches play an extremely, extremely crucial role in getting back to our why and allowing these kids to be kids and to have fun. From the high school program, how we'll support that, or one way that we'll support that is each week we'll send out New Prague hockey challenges, and it's for all New Prague hockey. Mites, squirts, peewees, bantams, 10U, 12U, girls high school, boys high school. So hopefully by the time we leave this meeting or at the end of this meeting, that message will get sent out. The first one is, the classic passing video where I get a pass from my right, I pass it to the left or whatever the directions say to do. And it'll be an opportunity for younger kids to possibly see themselves pass with a high school hockey player. Older kids, it's about something bigger than you. What I told our high school program is it's bigger than you. You may feel uncomfortable doing it, but it's bigger than you. It's about supporting the whole entire New Prague hockey program. So that's kind of where we're at right now with our plan. Obviously things can change, but I wanted to give you an idea of where we were at. And sometimes it's easier, or it gives you ideas to work from the top down a little bit.
You guys can all see that, it's going to be a little bumpy. There's technical issues, things to deal with, but that's okay. We can all work through this. It's going to be a team effort. What I wanted to talk about is that during the next 2 to 3 weeks before the HDC, and Dan and the group have some information to provide to all of us to help us along through this. Just wanted to talk to you about staying engaged with your team. Try and use Google Meets. And if you don't know how to use that, after the meeting, you'll receive a link from the HDC with some instructions on how to set that up. Not everybody's technically savvy in how to do that, but we will make sure that we try and help everybody accomplish the goal. Myself, thinking about a practice time, an online practice, which is going to be new for me and new for probably all of us. See if you can keep it to 30 minutes. I know that it depends on the age of the kids and the group that you're coaching, how long you'll have their attention. But 30 minutes, maybe some of the older kids can handle longer, I'm sure. If it's dry land skills, you can do that, or classroom X's and O's. Anything is going to be great just to connect with them. Like Brad had stated earlier, it doesn't always have to be hockey related. I think during this type of pause, just the social interaction, asking people how they're doing, talk about their day, little things, have some fun, play games online. Any of that is going to make a difference. It's going to keep that team aspect, some team bonding, and let the kids know that we haven't forgotten about them. And we're going to do what we can to try and make this break, however long it may be, a good one. When you do this, I would suggest reaching out to your coaches, or reaching out to your players, to ask that everybody has access to the internet, whether it's through a phone or an iPad. I know that their Chromebooks may be a difficulty because they are locked down from the school district, so they may not be able to access certain things. So I personally sent out an email asking to answer those questions. Also asking, do you have a place to stick handle? Do you have a place to shoot pucks? Not everybody does. So it's good information as a coach to know if you're going to set something up, what these kids can and can't do. Let me see here. Where am I at? And then also, try and keep the fun in it. Try and keep the positive attitude. It's tough. It's a bummer for everybody. But I know these kids, like Brad said, we have a captive audience, and they're really looking forward to getting back into this hockey thing. We don't want them to forget. They were just getting shut down when we get started. If you have any questions about how to use the Google Meets or anything like that, Tom Huber and Eric Fiala, they can answer your questions. You can email anybody on the HDC. Sorry about my voice. And we can try and get you answers. The group that's presenting tonight, these guys have done a fantastic job putting together content, getting things rolling. Dan, Jeremy, John, Tom, Eric, they're really working hard to have content for you guys to make it easier for you. And they'll start to talk about that. So as I said, we're in this together. It's going to be bumpy. Let's do the best we can, keep positive attitudes, and hopefully much sooner than later, we'll be back on the ice. I see Brad is sharing one other thing, so I'll let him finish. Brad, can you hear me?
Yeah, I think I'm back. We don't need to update Adobe PDF anymore. We're good to go on that. So computer's in working order. So just to kind of follow up, Joe, thanks for picking up my slack here. I ran to grab a new computer, accidentally hung up. Yeah, it's kind of a mess here. So I appreciate what Joe was saying, 100% in line with what we're looking for here. So in this presentation, and I think this will get sent out to you. I hope it will. I just wanted to share some resources with you if you're looking for things, if you're looking for things to do. So the first and the most important one that I've wanted to show you is I found this picture on Twitter, and it's about what kids have reported about why they play sports and what makes it fun. So I would encourage you to look over this and just to see if there's some ideas or things that you can take from it, not only in this 4-week span, but as we move forward with the rest of our season. The next one I want to share with you is Minnesota Hockey came out with some virtual coaches resources or virtual coaching resources. So they have age specific. They're also doing virtual coaching webinars, which I think are they're great. I've watched a bunch of them already. So when you click on, if we click on like the Bantam level one, it brings you to ideas that you can do. They have, recommendations that they have. And, at any point, like here's one that I know, a high school Q&A. You could absolutely incorporate our captains, incorporate me or any of our coaching staff, and if it works in our schedule, we'll come. So just some resources that I wanted to share with you. And then USA Hockey has some coaching webinars. But before I turn it over, I want to just give us time to kind of talk quickly, just to think through ideas. So I'm going to put us into breakout rooms quickly. We'll go for about 2 or 3 minutes just to share ideas with each other, support each other in this. So yeah, we'll go about 5 minutes here just to kind of share out ideas that you have, any questions that you can bring back to the group, and we'll go from there. Okay.
We need to find some ways to keep the kids active while we have some time off. And as Brad had mentioned, there are some advantages to the extra time. So some of you may be familiar with the Team Genius platform that Dan Whitty and his team brought in, and he'll explain what that is in the next series of slides. But that company has grown, and they've recently purchased a virtual training platform. So that platform is designed for dry land activities and some classroom items. It was originally designed for the New Jersey Devils, and it's since expanded to teach kids hockey away from the rink. So the content that is in this platform was created in partnership with the X-Hockey Products and an former NHL player named Bryce Salvador. So these are professional quality videos with pre-made classroom type sessions, workouts, skills training, and even some hockey sense that our association is working on bringing in. So with the help of the HDC and the board, we're in the process of bringing this product in with pre-made workouts, whether it's stick handling or shooting, anything that you can think of in a dry land setting is the goal of this application. In addition to that, we are working on some pre-made content. So whether it's the high school program explaining what, you know, techniques or systems or whatever it may be, we'll let Brad and his staff determine that. But we have the ability to capture and share that content on the coaching side, and other items, for example, the Butch Cable skating clinics. The goal there is to catalog some of that material so we can review it and work with that at a later date. These classrooms, if you will, or dryland sessions, are designed to be based not only on age and ability, but track player progress, and it's progression based. So if you think about going out and trying to find some YouTube videos to send out to your team, that in itself can be a challenge, but then tracking who's actually watched it, what are they working on, you know, are they working on it in the right order? A number of these classroom engagements are designed to be progression based. So there's a video that would explain, for example, the basics of a wrist shot, the technique, and a number of items that go along with that. Then the players will continue through that workout. They'll track their workout, and ideally they'll work through, you know, for example, a wrist shot, and then go into a backhand, and then a snapshot and a slap shot or something like that. And that would be true of many of the items in that classroom. The other item that goes along with this is a reward system or a challenge system. So there's a couple of different options, one being a leaderboard. So if you've ever gone to the X-Hockey facility, you may have noticed that sometimes the ramp is something that the kids look at the scoreboard on. At least in past years, it was kind of a hit to pop in there and see who's the fastest up the ramp. And that's the idea behind the leaderboard. In addition, there's a reward system, and there's some features for keeping player engagement. As far as accessibility of this platform, it's any internet-enabled device, and there'll be a unique player profile. So each player will sign in, they'll have their own profile, there's a point tracking system. So it's really individual-based skills and drills. So the timeline for rolling out this product is roughly mid-December. So the plan is there will be an association-wide sign-up once the system is set up and the training has happened. We'll initially get as many players set up with the system as we can and start going through the drills to fill in the time that we have off. Then the plan is to follow it up with individual teams or coach and manager type follow-up. So are players using it? How many of my players are using it? Can I get more involvement with my players? And then finally, we're looking at some options for level-specific leads to be in contact with all teams in the level. So for example, is there a squirt level challenge for number of shots, or a challenge for maybe the entire association, along with some training aids and potentially some coach training items that go along with that. So as I mentioned, the goal is to have this rolled out roughly beginning in mid-December. So that leaves us with a 2-week window where we have some free time to address anything that we want with our team. So that's where I'll turn it over to Dan Whitty, and he's going to explain the other side of Team Genius and some items that we can start to work on, not only as a coach, but with your individual players and parents.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. And before we go on to the next slide, just to kind of build a little bit on what Jeremy said there, you know, we want to make this you know, transition into this kind of new platform as easy as possible as we can for everybody. You know, be patient with us as we kind of learn about the capabilities, you know, and what we can do with it. You know, we want to try and get it out to the masses as quickly as we can. So as we're working through this setup process, as Jeremy mentioned, we're going to try and come up with some creative ideas and ways to just get this into people's hands. And, when I hear, what the captains talked about and what Brad talks about, 1% better, and, shooting, stick handling, even just some conditioning type things, I think this puts this all into one spot for everybody. And so we want to start off on the right foot by making it as easy as possible for people to just kind of get in there and start doing stuff. And then the ultimate goal is to really make this more, leverage the capabilities of it, make it more customizable to coaches to do what they want with their teams, right? So there's kind of a couple of different aspects to it, I think. But it is going to take some time, and we're going to, put in the work here over the next couple of weeks, as Jeremy said, to do this. So, if you see some things coming where we might be able to get some help from you, please do what you can. But we are going to try and minimize it as much as we can. So I think that's it on that. So kind of jumping into the Team Genius thing. So to kind of go back, like Jeremy said, you can go ahead and click on the next one if you want here, Jeremy. You guys have probably heard of it. I think most of you now, most levels have used the software as coaches individually, doing kind of that bottom bullet there, the in-season timed evaluations. But real quickly, I just want to back up a little bit because, you guys, maybe you've heard some things through the grapevine. I know we sent out some communications that we were going to be using this, but overall, the platform itself, what you need to know is it's used for player evaluations across many sports, not just hockey. Obviously, that's what we're using it for, but that's really what it was designed for. So we brought this in. We trialed it last year in the middle of the year. Just timing didn't work to get it in, but we were trying to find a way to streamline our process for tryouts. That was kind of what started it. And as we learned about the platform, we learned, hey, we're able to take exactly what we do in tryouts and put this into a digital format, give a evaluator a tablet, capture all this data automatically as it's happening in real time as tryouts are going on, store that, have it for the lifetime of a player in the association, and just started learning a lot about what we could do now with the data available, and how we can not only take that to set teams, which is obviously a very important thing, but at the end of the day, it's how do we get 1% better? How do we find the little things that we can do? And so again, we're still learning here too. There's new enhancements coming all the time to this, and our goal with the platform is to try and, again, make it as easy as possible for you as a coach to not only use it to see where your team's at, but also to get some insights out of it to help you coach your team, help you coach the players on your team. And so we'll touch on it in a little bit here. But when we look at, again, just the tryout portion, we went through that, we did our tryouts, and then from the data that was captured, you can see in the background there a little bit kind of shows what it would look like, where you have players and you have all the scores that they received from tryouts. We were able to take that and create a quote unquote report card, which many of you have been shared already for your teams, to kind of show where players fell just on that aspect, right? To give you something coming into the season. Now we get into the season, it's like, okay, how do we set some baselines for where our kids are at and track that? Are we getting better throughout the season? And so, again, many of you have already done this, the in-season evaluations. We created the timed drills. For those of you that aren't aware, they're the same across the board for the entire association. And the reason being is we want to be able to have this data for the life of a player in the association. So our goal would be to leverage this for even some of our mites here, but at a minimum, starting with our squirts, capturing that data all the way through Bantams, to see, okay, where were they on, goal line to blue line, with and without a puck. See that progress over the years and how they've progressed. So there's going to be a lot more that we're going to be able to do year over year as we capture more of this, and we're just really getting started. So thank you to coaches for bearing with us and really, taking that first step and doing this with your team and helping to capture that. We're kind of at the point where we're starting to share some of that out now. The other thing that we are able to do with this from, even like an in-season evaluation, there's ability to capture some other, data points as well. John's going to talk a little bit about what he did with his team. We're still working on getting this into the application, but is their head down when they're skating up the ice? How are they starting? We want to make it easy for you guys to capture this. so that you can work with your team to improve on various things. There's also a capability to record video of a player doing these things very easily right through the application, which again we'll talk more about as we go down the road here and incorporate some more of these things. But ultimately, the reporting aspect as well in trying to get this out to you. So Jeremy, if you want to switch to the next slide, please. This just gives a little bit of a snapshot. For those that haven't been in there yet, what you see on kind of the right side on the top there is, what the timed evaluations would look like. All the criteria that we're testing the kids on, the progress, the stopwatch that's used to start and stop and time them. That's really what the application itself looks like. We've got the association iPads that we're using to try and get to coaches, and we're trying to find ways to make that process easier as well. But then in the background, what you see is just a simple extract of what data might look like from one of these timed evaluations. So I've shared this again with many coaches. For those of you that have done it and want it, we can reach out to an HDC member and say, hey, I'd like to review this and meet with my team, etc. We can get you this data. But, again, we're learning a lot about it. We're going to try and find ways to make this as easy and meaningful as possible for you guys. But, it is still new for us too. So we're learning every day, and, we'll continue to share this with you guys so that you can take this back to your teams. So I think that's kind of what I wanted to cover from that perspective, just to give those a high level for what it was. We want to turn it over to John Brockpeck here, who's kind of taken all of this data that we've now aggregated, and he's going to talk a little bit about what he did with that and how he, again, made that meaningful for not only his players, but also for the parents on the team. So, John, I'll turn it over to you here. Oh, John, you're muted.
There we go. Thanks, Dan. I was asked to share my experience with an exercise that our team of coaches did with all of our players on our Pee Wee B2 team. We took the opportunity when we didn't have some practices on ice and stuff, and we chose a couple days and blocked off a couple hours of those days. And what we did is we utilized our manager of our team and said, hey, send out the Sign Up Genius for these 2 days, 15-minute blocks. And let's have parents sign up for these. Primarily what they are is conferences, right? Just like you'd see at school. So the setup was really easy, right? All I had to do is pick the days with my coaches, and the manager took it from there. And then just send out a link to the parents, and then what would happen is the coaches would get on the link. We would wait there. The first parent in line would join us. We'd talk to the parent player for 15 minutes. The next family in line would wait in the lobby until we finished up with the current, and then we'd just let the next group in. So it was a really easy process as long as it was set up efficiently, and the Sign Up Genius was a great way to implement that. So that was the setup of the meeting. Jeremy, if you move forward. So the meetings themselves, we reviewed the scorecard, and this is what was spoken about earlier, that each team squirt and above should have received the head coach. So this is extracted data from our evaluators, and it's really important that you explain that to the parents and players, that this is directly from tryouts, and this is a perception of the evaluators, the 6 outside evaluators that we had. I think it's really important as well to explain what the bars mean. The blue bar especially, because when you look at the green bar with our team Pee Wee B2, we wanted to make sure that they understood that they weren't that far back from where we expected them to be. And the way we explained the blue bar was, this is where we would expect our, like, a AA player to be in our association. not one of our players on our A team was at the top of that bar. So there is still some room for improvement in all areas for all players within New Prague Association. So this is a HDC goal to get the Pee Wee level up to that blue bar. And so the green level is where that individual player is. I think it's important to also, just to explain, as you get these report cards, you'll see a lot of consistencies across your whole team. And that's good to point out for the players and the parents to give them confidence that, wow, I'm way behind in this or way above in this. There was some consistencies that we've seen within our team that, like, just for instance, like the puck skills. This is something that we focused on and drove home with each and every player and parent was, we don't have time to practice puck skills on the ice. And this is something, that we talked to the players. And, since then we've been sending out, Dryland videos on the weekends so they can use all week long. So it's a great time. Also, I had all three coaches online with the parent and player. And it was great to have them chime in observations. Some of those coaches had played with these kids before or coached them before in previous years or levels. And it was fun to learn about how they played last year and what these coaches expected of them this year as leaders, or you're such a great defenseman or a strong F1, we rely on you for this and this and this, and you can be a leader on this team. So it really had impact by bringing some of those observations from previous years into it with all the coaches speaking. So that was another added piece. And this is the time that you have with that parent and player. I mean, if there's something that that player is doing awesome in practice or games, to point those things out and tell them that you value that player for those reasons. On the flip side of that, it's a great time to talk about some things that maybe have been bothering you as a coach. And maybe there's an effort thing or a listening or a focus thing. And this is the time to have those critical conversations with a player and a parent. It's the coaching staff one-on-one with a player and a parent. And this is the time to have it, to get everybody on the same page. And Jeremy, I think you can move to the next one then. So over and above the scorecard, Dan talked about the timed evaluations, and I think it's important to explain to the parents why we're doing this, because hockey is evolving into a speed game. It's not as physical anymore. We need our teams to get fast. Nobody likes to play a fast team. That's some common things that we said in each of our meetings. And we want to be that fast team. We're going to focus on getting faster and faster. Everything we do is fast. And so that really drives home, the need to have kids focus on their skating. And so, as Dan said, I did take it a little further and I went back to Live Barn and reviewed the time evaluations on video. And I made individual notes as far as, hey, did the player start with a quick start, or did they do a crossover or whatnot? How were their arms moving did they push a puck or did they stick handle the puck when they were doing that? And so that was just a whole nother level that you could talk to the player about tangible items that you could quickly fix to make them faster. And pointing these simple things out, like if you start differently, we'll knock time off your eval. If you move your arms in a better motion instead of side to side flailing and baling hay, you're going to get faster. And it really individualized the the evaluations and really pointed to the player and saying, hey, we know you can get faster. And this is something that our team struggles with. You know, quick starts, for example, only 2 players out of 14 skaters did a quick start in our timed evaluations. That's something that our whole team needs to work on. So as coaching staff, that's something that we're focusing on. Hey, remember, when we begin this drill, remember to remind the kids to do a quick start when we do this drill. So it brings it to our attention as something that we need to focus on ourselves as a coaching staff. The other thing, you know, which is fun to take a look at was the delta between skating without a puck and with a puck. And using that as a criteria of, hey, I want you to be able to skate just as fast with a puck as you do without. And ultimately, it happens every year. I've been doing these timed evaluations for 3 years. You'll have 2 kids that skate faster with a puck. Why? Because they're pushing a puck and their arms are more still. And when they're not pushing a puck, their arms are all over the place. And so it's great to point that out, that their stride changes. And so these are specific things that you can go through with your players. I just want to kind of go back to what Coach Drazen said. And this is all about creating value for our players and parents and developing them. And I believe this is one of those things that we can do to build relationships as one of the pillars of Coach Drazen's theme. That meeting, I've had so many comments from parents and players, I mean, mainly parents, that said, hey, I mean, this reminds me of small ball. You guys are taking a look at just the small things that make up the difference. I've always wanted this information, you know, some parents have said, and, you know, we appreciate the feedback. Not all of it was positive, but it's some things that we've noticed ourselves in hockey games and things like that their player does. So what it does is it puts everybody on the same team and gets them focused on the right things to either enhance or just get better at. It creates that culture that Brad talked about. We're focusing on the individual, making them feel like an individual, like they matter, like their individual skills are going to add to the overall team. And ultimately, that's what it comes down to, is building that team of faster players that can skate faster and be faster together. And the other thing that the coaches and I have talked about is, you know, this is really a challenge to compete against themselves. And so sharing their times with them and doing a mid-season, obviously this year it'll be difficult, but also an end of the season review and showing them that they got faster by changing their habits to better habits. And also you can use it as a incentive for the whole team. So, I mean, you could look at, hey, if you guys reduce your team times by such and such, you know, you get blizzards or whatever it is. But I mean, you can use this as a real motivator to focus on the small things that make them better. So those are some of my things that I really enjoyed about the process. I really liked the numbers and having those conversations with the parents and players. And I do believe when we went back to practice, when a kid was maybe going through some motions on some edge drills or something like that, when you looked at them and you said, hey, remember what we talked about in your one-on-one meeting, that kid, all of a sudden the light bulb goes on, like, yeah, I need to do this better. It holds them accountable. It holds the coaches accountable. There's a lot of great things about it. So as we started off, these 2 weeks that we have until the rollout of the new Dryland training, this is a great opportunity. This is a great opportunity to set those meetings up with your parent and player and go through this exercise. You will not be disappointed that you did it. And I just hope that each and every one of you takes this opportunity and does that. So thank you.
All right, I could be wrong, but I believe we're at the end of people needing to speak. So a lot of information. I think just to kind of wrap it up here a little bit would be, one, we have about 2 weeks before we get this program that Dan Whitty and Jeremy talked a little bit about. And I think there's a great opportunity for us to engage our players and our parents, give our kids something to look forward to show them that we care and we're there for them. Like I said, I would encourage you to reach out to people if you need help. There's a lot of great minds in this New Prague hockey program that are always willing to help, whether it be with technology, ideas, support, anything like that. And that goes the same for our coaching staff. So I think we can wrap it up here. Is there any questions or anything that anybody would like to go with before we end this meeting?
Hey, Brad, it's Dan. I just one more comment, and if there's questions, please jump in. But for the Mike coaches that are on here, one thing I just wanted to point out. So the report card that John just kind of walked through, that data was really aggregated from the tryout process, which for our Mite program right now, we have not been using the Team Genius system for yet. With that said, we are planning to try and leverage the timed portion with our upper level mites if we can. Obviously, with the timing of the season starting and the whole shutdown and everything here, we haven't had a chance to get that instituted, but we do want to try and do that. So for mite level, that portion might be harder. But then again, too, just going back to the training program as well, we want to try and find ways to incorporate things for our mites as well. So, we'll continue to stay in touch with the mite coaches as we, get closer on this stuff. But just wanted to call that out for those that are on here, if you're wondering. And if there's any questions, feel free to jump in here for anybody here.
Hey guys, during our breakout session, a Mite coach had asked about, how to get the kids involved at that level 1 Mite team, since they're already online a lot for school. I kind of mentioned that just getting them on there, the kids are going to be pretty excited anyway. But Kevin Flaherty had a good question in the breakout regarding getting the kids together somewhere that's not associated with hockey or sports. And Kevin, if you're still on, I'll let you speak on that, if you would.
Thanks, Tom. I was really asking about, the parents in my conversations with them have asked questions about their ability to get the boys together to do things that aren't necessarily hockey related. Example was that Somerset, Wisconsin has a big setup out there on some farmland that is just a magnificent holiday experience, and it's something where the kids can go be outside together and so forth. But they keep pinging me saying, if we do it and we do it as a group, are we going to get you in trouble, coach? So they're very sensitive to, is there, where is the line drawn between us doing something as a official get together as a hockey team versus just a bunch of kids coming together?
I can only answer that from like a D6 perspective, and you won't like the answer, but it is, they've been pretty strict on no team activities, whether it's on ice or off. That being said, they're not police. They're not, they're not there to watch you at every turn. So if this is not led by you, I don't, I'm not going to say as a board member that you should do it. The D6 and Minnesota Hockey states that you should not. So that's all I can
So
say.
So as long as I sign up after Jefferson and Minnetonka, I'm okay.
That's their deal, right? We're one New Prague, and that's the way I can answer that question. I have to be by the book on that one.
Yep. So the parents can put together whatever the parents want to put together.
We, as a board, you know, I guess we can't control a parent from doing something.
Right.
We don't know who their friends
Right.
are.
Because honestly speaking, now even from a skill development standpoint, when you talk about kids doing stick handling or shooting pucks, there's probably, you know, 20% or 30% of the kids on the team have a facility where they can shoot a puck. The others do not. And therefore they're grouping together in groups of 2 or 3 kids to get together and shoot pucks. You know, kids are going to get together. I mean, they have to. They're going to go crazy if they don't. It's unfortunate. It's been mandated that they don't. But as they do, I mean, that's just going to happen. So these parents that are going to get together 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 of these kids and go off and do something with them along with their parents, that's just going to happen.
Kevin, as the HTC coordinator, I would say use your best discretion, and I would agree.
I can't hear you. So
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
barely. It might be me.
Okay, I would say, like I said, use your best discretion. But I have to side with John that, you know, we got to try and go by the book and do the right thing. We can't control what people are doing outside on their own. But speaking for the association, we can't endorse that.
Yeah, I hear you. And that's what I tell the parents. I'll just end up, unfortunately, having to stay away from it. So it's a parents thing, not a hockey association thing.